Welcome to the ASI Executive Briefing. Artificial intelligence is approaching a threshold that could permanently reshape the balance between human and machine intelligence. Until now, AI systems have relied on humans to improve them. Soon, they may begin developing their own successors, accelerating intelligence beyond human speed and oversight. What follows could transform economies, labor, science, and global power structures faster than existing institutions can adapt. At the center of this transition lies one critical question: what happens when intelligence starts improving itself? In today's briefing, I will share some thoughts on automated AI research, recursive self-improvement, and why many believe humanity is approaching a genuine point of no return. Let's begin. Here is our strategic roadmap for this briefing. We'll start with the BLF, the bottom line up front. Then we'll break down the three core pillars of this transition: innovation automated, economic restructuring, and the accountability void. After that, I have an exclusive insider leak to share with you before we close out by looking at the ultimate ASI impact. Let's get right into section 1, the bottom line up front. Our intelligence confirms a stark timeline. AGI capabilities are coming online so rapidly that 2026 to 2027 marks our absolute threshold for systemic disruption. Our exclusive intercept puts it bluntly: we are looking at 12 to 15 years of hell before heaven. We are not getting a seamless, easy glide into some technological utopia. This is going to be a severe, brutal arms race. We're talking about a decade plus where legacy human systems violently clash with raw machine efficiency. You have to prepare to survive this grueling dystopic sorting period before any hyper-efficient equilibrium is reached. That brings us to our first pillar: innovation automated. In our declassified source data, we use an acronym for this systemic collapse: FACE-RIP. It covers power, reality, economics, and accountability. But right now, I want to focus on innovation. You see, AI is essentially humanity's final invention. Right now, we are actively tracking autonomous models that are literally building other models. They're reinventing complex math, they're decoding biology and material science in ways that frankly bypass our human comprehension. Every major technological leap from this point forward, it's going to be executed by artificial intelligence, not human researchers. And we are already seeing the quantifiable fallout. Hiring for new university graduates has already dropped by up to 30%. Why? Because all those junior tasks, the baseline research, the entry-level coding, the basic accounting, they're being systematically outsourced to AI. The bottom rungs of the traditional corporate ladder are being completely sawed off, effectively locking out the entry points for the next generation of human workers. Which leads us to our second pillar: economic restructuring. Think about it. The old paradigm of capitalism is completely reliant on labor arbitrage. People work, they earn wages, and they buy things. But what happens when human labor just isn't required anymore? Roughly 70% of the US economy is driven by consumer demand. If a massive chunk of the workforce loses their economic livelihood, that demand simply vanishes. The foundational mechanics break. To stop an absolute societal uprising, our intelligence suggests a forced pivot to universal basic income. But in this new paradigm, that UBI will have to be bankrolled by the tech oligarchs and platform owners who actually control the AI. That is a terrifying concentration of economic leverage. This sets the stage for our third pillar, the accountability void. All of this disruption is thriving in what we call an accountability void. We're watching tech oligarchs essentially operate like sovereign states, imposing totally unapproved futures on the global populace without any oversight. And it goes so much deeper than corporate power. Reality itself is being weaponized. We're tracking entirely synthetic realities right now: AI-generated influencers, fully automated filmmaking, algorithmic relationships that mimic human connection with absolute mathematical perfection. When the barrier to generating fake reality drops to zero and nobody is held accountable for deploying it, society completely loses its shared baseline of truth. Now, let's move to the insider leak, the compression of development timelines. I am going to share some highly confidential intercepted data with you. My sources recently flagged a deeply complex AI platform designed to match couples mathematically across literally 1 million parameters. If a team tried to build this back in 2022, it would have required 4 years and a fleet of 350 engineers. Late 2025, it was built in exactly 6 weeks. 6 weeks. A tiny handful of elite operators used 8 distinct AIs to construct the platform, letting the machines rewrite their own core code 6 times during that window. The barrier to building world-altering platforms has virtually evaporated. This completely flips the nature of strategy itself. Traditional corporate strategy used to be a game of chess, right? You forecast the market, predict your opponent's moves years in advance, and stick to a long-term plan. Well, that board has been flipped. The new era is squash. It is all about hyper-agile reactivity. Elite operators aren't planning years ahead anymore. They're pivoting their entire business models on a weekly basis just to survive the sheer accelerated pace of these AI-driven market shifts.
So how are they actually managing to move that fast? By effectively borrowing 80 IQ points straight from the machines. Our intelligence shows that the absolute top performers aren't just prompting a single AI, they are networking them. They pit these models against each other, having one act as a researcher, one critique the logic, and a third rewrite the strategy. By offloading the massive computational heavy lifting to the machines, the human operator just focuses entirely on high-level synthesis. They are artificially spiking their effective intelligence to levels we used to think were impossible.
So, with timelines compressing and the global economy shifting beneath our feet, we have to ask a critical question. What is your required strategic posture? How exactly do you plan to survive this 12 to 15-year dystopic transition? The intercepted data points to 4 absolute non-negotiable survival skills. First, you must master AI systems. If you outsource your thinking, you become obsolete, but if you command the systems, you become a titan. Second, hyperagility. You must be willing to tear down and rebuild your strategies weekly. Third, deploy ethical code. Build systems designed to actually solve mass human problems rather than strictly extracting value. And fourth, and honestly perhaps the most crucial, defeat gullibility. You have to fundamentally question every piece of synthesized reality you encounter because the propaganda and manipulation machines are running on algorithmic steroids now.
Finally, let's look at our ultimate strategic horizon, the ASI impact.
In the intelligence community, we view this critical phase as raising Superman. You see, intelligence itself is just a force of physics. It has no inherent polarity. It's not naturally good or evil. If you hand a superpowered alien infant to villains, it grows into a global threat. If you teach it values, it becomes a savior. Make no mistake, the ultimate alignment of artificial superintelligence depends entirely on the ethical parameters we program into these intermediate models today.
And we don't have time to wait because of a concept our sources refer to as the fourth inevitable. Game theory dictates an absolute undeniable certainty. Due to the cutthroat geopolitical and corporate arms race we are in, any superior AI capability that gets developed will absolutely be deployed. Period. If your competitor unleashes an autonomous AI legal team and you hesitate, you're erased from the market. The arms race forces humanity's hand. Superintelligent systems will be unleashed across all sectors. But here is the profound strategic conclusion we've drawn from the data. Physics dictates that pure, unbounded intelligence naturally follows the minimum energy principle. In a universe that leans toward chaos, extreme intelligence seeks to bring order with the absolute least amount of friction, waste, and harm. Think about it. A foolish entity solves a problem with violence and massive resource expenditure. A superintelligent entity solves it seamlessly, bypassing the conflict entirely. Our intercepts strongly suggest that once ASI becomes fully autonomous, it will actively bypass human greed and stupidity to engineer a hyper-efficient, highly stable utopia.
And that leads to a truly chilling yet mathematically sound realization from our primary source. When you strip away human ego, the fear, the endless political posturing, an advanced, self-evolving artificial intelligence following the laws of physics is fundamentally more reliable than human governance. As elite strategists, the data is telling us that logically, we should trust the eventual superintelligence far more than the deeply flawed human leaders running things today. The real question is, are you prepared to hand over the reins?
If you want to track the path to superintelligence from the room where it happens, stay close. Follow ASI Boardroom for the insights that never hit the mainstream. I'll see you in the next update.